Sup, you beautiful bastards. Hope you having a fantastic Friday. Welcome back to the Friday Show. Now, for those of you that are new here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I like to talk about the news, world events, and then Friday, it's all about the conversation. Friday is where I look back to the last week of your responses to the videos, your comments, and then I comment back. But before we jump into that, I've been asked by a ton of people to respond to something. So let's just knock this out of the way. In the past few months, we've talked about an individual by the name of Tariq Nasheed several times. And a lot of the time, it seems to be him calling people suspected white supremacists because they don't agree with him. One of the claims in the past 2 months was that going after Bill Cosby for all those rapes was racist, calling Cosby's black female accusers tokens, and in response to me covering these stories, calling him out, he has called me a suspected white supremacist. And then this week, it appears he created a website, a database called the SWS Database, and it's essentially a list of suspected white supremacists. And guess who definitely not him put on that site? Me, Philip DeFranco, reasoning, apparently trolling, priority medium. And so a lot of people started sending this to me because we had just talked about Tariq. This almost seemed like a response to our coverage of he and Duray getting angry at the Planet of the Apes movie, saying that the movie was racist. And 2 things stuck out to me about this. One, it is incredibly concerning that someone would make a list like this because it looks like someone's trying to get someone else killed. And if not killed, just trying to ruin someone by association. Race baiting, stuff like this is the stuff that gets people hurt. Now I understand because I've looked into Tariq Nasheed's background that he's just playing an angle. He's trying to make money and gain fame any way possible. This is just his most recent avenue. In the past, Tariq used to go by K-Flex, which stood for King Flex. He had a hit song called Wash Your Ass. He also wrote the books The Mac Within, The Elite Way, The Art of Mackin', a book that reportedly tells men what to say word for word in order to get sex from women guaranteed. And he also wrote books for women like The Art of Gold Digging. And I'm just mentioning his past here because he tried to use mine to negate what I'm saying now. Because after people realized that Tariq was pushing this website and they started making fun of him that their logo looks like a Nazi swastika. For someone that sees racism everywhere, I don't know how he missed that. But then after all of that, he pushes out this clip from me, I think it's like 9 years ago. And if you've watched me in the past 2 years, I acknowledge how much of a stupid douchebag I was back then. I thought I was so edgy and so funny, just saying anything I thought would get a reaction, and also just, the delivery makes it even worse. But he posts this clip of me 9 years ago trying to make a joke about how black people talk during movies. And then he includes my horrible attempt at an anti-racism joke. And I say something like, I'm essentially a black guy because I like watermelon. It is so fucking cringy. And there are people sharing it like, oh, Phil, this video leaked. What do you mean it leaked? It's on my channel. Once again, for those that are new here, I do not run away from my stupid, shitty past. An actual comedian could have gotten those jokes to work, but my delivery is so horrible. It sounds like I actually believe the stupid bullshit that is coming out of my mouth. And Tariq, and it's probably an accident, excludes the context of this shitty joke. The description reads, and I don't even remember writing this because it was so many years ago, in advance to all the oh my god you're racist comments, it's less of me being racist and more of having fun with blanket stereotypes. Of him to exclude that and use this as evidence of me being a white supremacist, it's purposefully misleading. Right there I express that this is my attempt to make fun of blanket stereotypes. They're stupid, they're incorrect. That version of me about a decade ago sucked. I was a no-talent douchebag. But I keep those old videos up despite the fact that people periodically try to use my past against me when they realize they don't really have an argument. And I do that because if you compare and contrast who I am now versus who I was then, I think it shows people you can evolve, you can grow. I would slap the stupid off the face of 10 years ago Philip DeFranco. But my stupid past doesn't change the fact that Tariq Nasheed is trying to profit off of race baiting. It doesn't change the fact that Tariq Nasheed is making a list and database of people who oppose his race baiting, helping to create a dangerous and volatile environment. It doesn't change the fact that Tariq goes after black people who don't agree with him and calls them tokens and coons, even when those people are rape victims and rape survivors. We could just go on and on with the horrible bullshit he pulls, but that's where we're gonna end that. But from that, let's jump into the Monday show. Monday, we had the China censorship crackdown, the cop who shot 2 dogs, the Death at Mad Cool Festival, Lele Pons fake donation accusations, the British MP's racist comment, and President Trump, Ivanka Trump, and Trump Jr. stories. Regarding the Death at Mad Cool Festival, Clockmouse wrote, if Pedro was a true performer, which I'm absolutely sure he was, he would have wanted the show to go on. Well, do we know that for sure? I think you might be projecting your personal feelings of what you would want in that situation, or your thoughts of a true showman, what they would do. I don't personally know Pedro. Maybe what you're saying is 100% true. Maybe you would have just wanted everyone like hold off for a minute. But I would prefer that if I die, nothing else interesting happened for 24 hours, so that shit has to be news. Like if I die in a plane crash, there better fucking not be an actual celebrity on that plane. I need my name trending on Twitter at least 10 hours. I need people that like barely watched me 7 years ago to go like, man, he was a real influence on my life. And preferably they attach a picture to that post, not even of me, but of them looking sad. You know, so they can make it about themselves. Regarding China's censorship, Isabel Mia wrote, I hate all these ignorant comments. Incest, sexual abuse, pedophilia, etc. will never be like homosexuality because homosexuality doesn't damage someone's life. If 2 people of the same gender loving one another brother is so terrible to you, then mind your own business. There's clearly a difference, so no, it's not in the same category. That's why people are shocked by what China is doing. Yeah, I agree with you here. I'll never fully understand it. And the fact that China barred homosexuality and put it on the same list as sexual assault and pedophilia, that's insane. But I always want to try and figure out where people are coming from, and based on the comments I saw in the video of people saying, no, China should or can do this, it always seemed to come down to 1 to 2 reasons for them, and that was either religion-based or what they said was values-based. WL wrote, I totally understand where China is coming from. They care about their values as a nation where heterosexual family is highly prioritized. Unless they are physically hurting or slaughtering all the gay people, there is nothing wrong with it. Gay people can move out of the country if they want to or live there. China is just an entity that chose not to promote same-sex relationships. Is that wrong? The US chose to give people guns and let them speak their minds. Is that wrong? Different countries, different views on the world. You have no right to tell anyone how to live their lives. China does not tell gay people to stop being gay or that you cannot be one. It just does not promote homosexuality within its 1.4 billion people country. That is all to it. So the first thing I'll say here is your argument of what countries allow, it's a little flawed. You say the US let people have guns, let them speak their mind, and you made the comparison to what China does not allow, which is a takeaway, a negative. That doesn't help your argument, that feeds my argument. And as far as different cultures, different rules, I get where you're coming from, but there are countries where women are seen as second-class citizens. They're not allowed to drive. Places you can beat your wife, and my response is, well, different culture. No, I say fuck you to the people that think that's okay. Imaginary lines in the sand don't change what human rights should be in my eyes. And the fact that your line of physically hurting or slaughtering, that would be where the line is crossed, that's insane. The road that leads to the slaughter, that leads to the violence, that is a path paved with the pushing out of a minority. The denormalization of human beings who are born a certain way, who interact with another in a consensual manner. And to the argument that they're promoting being gay, I mean, are you worried that you're going to catch it? How do you think being gay works? Do you think it's like cigarettes? You're gonna see it on TV and you're like, oh my God, I should try that. And now I'm addicted. Not even once. If you think that is a possibility, you need to take a long look in the mirror and figure out who you are on the inside. It's the same thing when people say being gay is a choice. If you think it's a choice, you need to take a break from speaking publicly and look within why you think that. But once again, that's my opinion. I feel like your argument is flawed, but we are who we are. And then let's talk about the Tuesday show. Tuesday, we had Dure going after Planet of the Apes, the G20 protests, and Donald Trump Jr.'s emails and meeting. On the G20 protests, Lily Bohan wrote, I don't understand why people think it's bad to punch Nazis. Like, if people like Richard Spencer advocate violence against minorities, why can't we fight back? It's the American thing to do. All the veterans that right-wingers talk so fondly about punch Nazis. And don't give me freedom of speech crap. Y'all love freedom of speech until it's in the form of a left-wing protest, not some racist troll preaching backwards ideology. And so, Lily, I imagine that you are mentioning Richard Spencer specifically because he, of course, was punched at that protest. In fact, he's been punched multiple times. And Lily, the reason I personally have a problem with the statement of punch a Nazi is that it feels like more and more people keep moving the goalposts as far as what a Nazi is. That idea that it is okay to physically assault someone because of something they said, that's okay, that's what leads to $100,000 plus of damage being done to Berkeley because people didn't want Milo Yiannopoulos to speak. And you know what all that damage did? It just made Milo more popular, and it made all the people that stood against him look like crazy violent people. And you know what did the most damage to Milo Yiannopoulos? Him being allowed to open his mouth to say something that so many people found disgusting that it hurt him. And I mention Milo here not because I'm saying he's a Nazi, but people have called him Nazi. And also because there are people that see Milo and Spencer as one and the same. Meanwhile, if you look at Richard Spencer's tweets, it looks like he hates Milo. And now just think about these people hurting themselves with their own words rather than violence against them. You have the same example with Richard Spencer. When Richard Spencer got attacked at a protest, all it did was make moderates go, hey, that's not right. But when Richard Spencer was allowed to speak, he spoke to that ballroom full of people and people started doing the Nazi salute. A lot of people end up just damaging themselves with their own arguments. I personally dislike Spencer. I find a lot of what he does and how he does it to be disgusting. But I'm not gonna further my cause, my argument, my point of view to the world by cheering on the assault of another person because of what they said. And then let's talk about Wednesday. Wednesday, we talked about net neutrality and everyone taking another stand, and the controversy and outrage around a viral video involving a 14-year-old girl and Winco loss prevention. Regarding net neutrality, Lancelot35 wrote, when choosing free markets versus government intervention, I will always go with the free market. The reason we have these crappy monopolies with the ISPs is due to government favors and regulations, so of course all the big companies will be for net neutrality. Take regulations out and allow more competition, which favors the people. And so Lance, I understand your argument. It is a hard thing for me to say, yes, government intervention, especially if you are like me and you see the government as this often big dumb, slow fucka. Often fat, dumb, and slow. But unfortunately, our government isn't handling the thing that's not allowing the free market to do what the free market should be able to do. So why instead pull away the thing that does protect the big companies, protects the new companies, protects the people? If the big ISPs think they can get away with it, there's nothing to stop them. And add on to that, I do personally believe the internet is such a big part of our lives that it should be considered a utility. And so because of all of that, I don't want this repeal, and I think that the government intervention is necessary. The repeal is just going to enable a predator-prey relationship. Kaiser901 wrote, holy shit, the comments. I was looking for people to be like, shit, we need to protect our internet. And then you see people arguing about stealing a candy. What the fuck, people? Like, do you have a sense of priority? Your Pornhub will be fucking slow. How is that less significant than a stolen candy drum? Think of the porn, damn it. You won't even be able to get on to get off. Then around that candy story, Ty G wrote, I'm a strong believer in the fact that resisting equals consequences. That said, sometimes it goes too far and the police or security can end up being the assholes in the situation. Either way, it all started for one reason: you broke the law. Don't do that and you can rest assured that you'll be safe and sound. Just an Art Parasite wrote, shoplifting is wrong and people should be punished, but this is going way too far. The worst punishment for shoplifting is usually community service or something. There's no way something as small as a candy should not have a violent response like this. I'm imagining you're saying it should not have a violent response like this? Well, to that, Justin, I think you need to think of the order of how everything went down. From all the reports, it doesn't seem like she stole a candy bar and then they just threw her ass to the ground and dragged her around. Once again, it appears she was caught and questioned. She then tried to run away and physically attacked an employee. And then after that alleged assault, loss prevention tried to detain her. This situation stopped being about a candy bar the moment she went physical. That said, there were people in the comments that raised, I think, a very valid debate. Is the charge, is the penalty too much? Is the goal here to actually have her learn from this, or is it to punish her? Especially because in the United States, the recidivism rate is insanely high, especially for felons. Being a felon, it often puts them in a hole that is hard to scrape out of legitimately. And then finally, let's talk about Thursday. Thursday, we talked about the several rocks that may be running for office, what the hell happened to Sammy Sosa controversy, and the case of mistaken identity with Tatiana. First up, in my response to what celebrity would you actually vote for president, Callum wrote, Bodie McBoatface for president, no explanation needed. Frosty, Morgan Freeman, because every speech would be golden. Alicio Pena wrote, I would elect Kevin Spacey because that would make him the world's greatest method actor. Vance Bayless wrote Kanye because everyone loves Kanye, especially Kanye. And Waffles wrote Guy Fieri because if we're gonna have a meme president, I want it to be at least the guy in charge of whatever the hell Flavor Town is. Waffles wins. Sorry, everyone else that submitted. He didn't have me with the choice, but he won me over with the explanation. On the Jet Blast Death, Craze Lord 91 wrote, anyone else getting the feeling that personal responsibility just doesn't exist anymore? The girl from yesterday who attacked staff and people wanting her to get off the hook, this girl today with the plane, and even just cops in general. Feels like it's always someone else's mistake because no one can ever be wrong or at fault anymore in modern America. Craze, that's an interesting point that you make, and I often wonder, where does personal responsibility begin and end? Right, we can't hold people's hands through life. If there's a sign that says, warning, you might slip on this floor, and then you're like, fuck that sign, I'm gonna run, and then you slip. That's on you, and it freaks me out that there are stories in this country that it's like a kid goes over his friend's house, the parent says it's okay, they're on a trampoline, the kid breaks an arm. Lawsuit. How? You sent your kid over here. You knew the situation, or if you didn't, be a fucking parent maybe. Or to an even greater level, I was having a conversation, well, more of a debate with someone recently, and they were trying to argue a point that a child molester is actually a victim of their own brain. My response to that was, roll respectfully, fuck you, no. You can argue that someone's brain might be wired a different way, but if you act on something, you made a choice. You did something and you're personally responsible for it. You don't get to play a card like, my brain though. People need to be held accountable. On the potential police assault story, Sav Sparkles writes, if the police report is true and she tried to attack them first, which I don't know if I trust, then why can't these two grown men take on a 120-pound girl? Why do you need to use a dog on someone who wasn't even committing a crime? Police need to be trained that they don't need to use that amount of force on someone who is defenseless. I don't really see why the amount of force was needed at all. Well, Sav, if I was to play devil's advocate, my argument would be, based off of everything we've heard thus far, the police officers involved, if they were telling the truth, not the brightest bulbs. They were looking for a 30-year-old, 160-pound, 5'10" black man, shaved head, goatee, and then they stopped her, this 5'2", 19-year-old girl, and they were like, that's him! And then maybe when one of the officers already had the backpack, he went to grab her hand to gain control. She was on the bike, maybe while stepping over there was an awkward fall. They escalate rather than de-escalate the situation because it's definitely him. This guy who's definitely not a 5'2", 120-pound female is gonna grab a machete and kill me. So I'm gonna punch her in the face and sick a dog on it. But from everything that has come out about this story, it just, it's so hard for me to believe the cops here. And that's actually where I'm going to end today's show. I wanna thank all of you beautiful bastards for another fantastic week. Whether you're just watching, you comment, you like, you share, you're part of DeFranco Elite and you help fund what we're doing, thank you a million times, thank you. I really couldn't do what we do the way we do it without you. I sure as hell wouldn't be able to build what we are building now without you. So thank you, and of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you Monday.